Hello and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian, big MLR guy, and I'm joined here by the return of Mr. Shades himself, back in the house. His biceps got bigger. He's here to show them off. Love it. Spring is here. Guns out. What up, Daniel?
No, just glad to be back. Been busy the last month or so. So it's great to be back here for MLR.
The boys are back together just in time for MLR. What a beautiful time. Beautiful time, beautiful things. Daniel, we're going to hop right into it. As you mentioned, MLR, round one, in the books. Some of these teams did their first little fucking game ever. That's in the books, Daniel. Now they can't claim to be rookies anymore. Furthermore, we have some NFL news. Just more good times in the NFL. It keeps on rolling. It's the gift that keeps giving, Daniel. Anyway, let's hop on into this. I got a play just to break this all off for you guys. There was a lot of cool plays, but due to some new rules of the MLR network, they don't let me show too many plays. We're showing one, and it's this one. Terrible camera angle. Why is it so blurry, Daniel? It's not right. Yeah, reload. We're going to try that again. Get a little bit better. So basically what we saw here was a classic line read. It's going to be after this guy. Yeah, it's going to come out of this. Bam, ball out. Watch that 13 already moving. Watch the 13 right here. Dude's already running. Perfectly read that.
Yeah, he just read that all the way.
Just read that the whole way. That was the try that put the SaberCats over top to beat Utah, because Utah does fight back in this game. This may look like it was a blowout, but no, Utah replies immediately after this with another try, another two to get them within the range, but just couldn't quite close it out. As we saw last year, strong performance out of the SaberCats. You know, they're a strong team. Definitely in the top five, I would say, Daniel. I mean, there's not that many teams in this league, but still.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they got the last spot in the West last year. They kept, oddly enough, Utah out late in that season with a 3-point gap over them. So, you know, knowing that this could come down between the two of them again, huge win to start the season for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Utah falls a little bit flat in their outgoing. SaberCats just look good. They look crisp. They're moving around their offense really well, and they pull off a much-needed win against a division rival, as Dan mentioned, in the West. So we'll hop right into this. Round one. This was a heck of a game. I only saw the highlights on this one, but Los Angeles hosts the Jackals for their first ever MLR game. Daniel, for much of this game, it looked like LA was going to greet their fans and their existence in with a win. You know, they looked crisp out the gates. They have a lot of iron workers. They got a bunch of the old LA, I'm sure, is over there. So it's not like these are not veterans.
They retained pretty much the entire Atlanta roster when they moved, right?
Right. I keep on forgetting that this is basically Atlanta. So it's Atlanta reinforced by some strong New York players, which showed out. Their number 12 had a beautiful play in this one, and almost was the play we went with. If they would have won, it probably would have been. But basically, a quick ball out to number 12. He just, instead of taking this into contact, it was beautiful, dude. He just kicks it. And his 11 just beats the man on the edge. Easy try for LA. They had some really beautiful. They had way more flaunt and cool plays. And then suddenly I look up and it's 14-10 because the Jackals just stayed in it. They did typical rugby stuff. They did a lot of mauls. Dude, LA cannot stop being mauled. I think the Jackals scored like 4 tries on mauls. So LA, I mean, the Jackals not pretty, but they get it done. And they bring it back within 29-29 at the end of the game. Drop goal by their number 10. Just ice in the veins. Beautiful drop goal out of this kid. And puts the Jackals ahead for their first win of the season.
Yeah, no, the Jackals are a team that, it seems like the last couple of years are slowly putting it together. I'm not going to say they're a contender by any means, but, they're getting those pieces together to start playing to the level that they should be. And who knows? It's early, but it could be a coming out year for them.
It'd be cool. I mean, like you said, it is early. I think the level of the playing field is semi more level than it ever has been, though. It's always been a pretty competitive league, but I mean, it's hard to tell out the gate, obviously. But you guys can already see it here. The Legion get their first loss of the week. Unlike them, the Jackets look like they're picking up where they left off last year. High flying offense is very much the same. Poor Raleigh that they had to pretty much embrace this as their first rugby game ever. They got handled. Not much else to say about this one. The Jackets just looked amazing. Their fullback pulls up a hat trick. They just look so fast on offense, Dan. Like, granted, this is a new rugby team, so they're still figuring themselves out on defense. But dude, these plays looked hard for anyone to stop. Like, they just had so much space. Of all the games I saw, the Jackets had the most space, the most line breaks. Like, you could see from the score. Anthony comes back with 2 late tries in the game to show a little fight, but it was 46-3 for most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta didn't have a good year last year, so we knew that there was going to be a little bit of an uphill climb.
Well, this is Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were still on the Los Angeles one. I apologize. I missed the switch.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, no, I wasn't super clear on it.
No, yeah. The anthem, I'm curious to see what they do. It's a good market down there. But, yeah, what a way to get welcomed.
The commentators even mentioned it. They're like, man, these schedule makers didn't do them any favors, huh?
I mean, maybe put them and, Miami together as, welcome each other to the league.
Or something. I mean, all right, so you only have so many Hounds and Jackals to spread out, and I get that. But maybe not the Free Jackets, maybe not the defending champions, anybody else.
Welcome to the world.
Then Utah out there, geez. Anyway, so that was kind of the only blowout of the weekend, really. Miami Sharks and Hounds. Now, this was just an ugly game, Daniel. You think beautiful Miami, Florida. It's going to be awesome, right? Nope, wrong spring. So it's going to be just pouring rain the whole game. And man, this was sloppy. Both teams just handling errors early and often. The referee was running around handing out yellow cards all over. I think it was actually mostly the Miami Sharks who kept on catching the yellow cards, to be honest. But either way, just sloppy play. A bunch of penalty kicks to get it going. Eventually, the Hounds got back-to-back penalty tries off of mauls. So once again, these second-year teams not being super flashy, but they're going to roll these mauls, and they've got penalty tries on both of their mauls, on 2 mauls there. They're only tries of the game, unfortunately, because I think Miami sneaks another field goal in. So it's 22 or 29 going in at halftime. Next half, Miami looked like the much better team in the second half. Like, I don't know if the Hounds were just playing to not lose or what, but man, they barely had the ball, and when they did, they would just immediately turn it over. Just sloppy play. Would want to shout out that you got a new number 7 in there. My boy McLean Jones has been benched. Daniel, how are you taking this news?
Why? Why is he benched?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that the new 7 they brought in basically looks like a bigger version of McLean. So I'm kind of okay with it. He looks good. Dude stayed in there 80 minutes, and he was just rough. He was just like one of those bruiser 7s. Like, the guys, I saw him just fuck you with the 10. Like, I don't even know what was going on, but it was just a proper fuck with. And you saw like the 10, like of the Miami 10, like giving him a proper shove on his way out. Like, whatever that was, here for it, 7. Go over there and mess the 10 for sure. Later on in the scrum, they're trying to hold him down. He's just like letting this prop know that that's not okay. And here for it, man. My man seems like a bruiser. McLean did come in for a blood sub, and then later on came in for the number 8. So you guys a chance out there. But yeah, overall sloppy game out of the boys, dude. We gotta be better. Miami looks pretty good though. I'm not gonna take anything away from them. Other than it being a rainy, sloppy game, they kind of got the only real try of the game. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Hounds find a way to win. Anything to add there, Daniel?
No, I mean, when I was reading online, people seem very impressed that Miami hung in there.
Yeah.
Sure, Chicago's a second-year team, but I mean, Chicago really added some bodies this offseason, so I'm excited to see what they can do now that they got a little more reinforcement in them.
Yeah, they got to gel up a little bit better. The 15 had a good game, a lot of penalty kicks out of him, and he answered the bell. Moving over to another 15 who answered the bell, man, the San Diego Legion 15. This guy is built bigger than most props I've seen, or not most, but a lot of props I've seen. And man, he's got a boot on him. He's into 2022 or 40-22, whatever that rule is, across the field, like well back in his own territory. Legion gets a red card, I want to say, going into the second half of this game, Daniel. So it was tough sledding, not to mention that Seattle came out firing and got a couple tries on the board early. So San Diego's playing from behind, playing with a red card, and they hung in this bad boy, dude. They fought their way back in with 14 players, made this close as hell. In fact, it was so close, I think it was tied, or the Legion had the lead. The Legion might have had the lead, actually. But they just could not hang on. The very last minute, the Seawolves managed to break through the line, get a try, get the win over a hated OS division rival, hand the Legion their first loss of the year. The Legion, I think, are going to learn from this one. They did look vulnerable throughout the first half, before they got that red card even. They showed a lot of fight, though, by coming back. Heck of a game.
Yeah, like you said, big divisional game, conference game. Especially, these two teams finished 1-2 in the West. So, putting a lot of pressure on out of the gate. We'll see what happens when Seattle goes out to San Diego. But, red cards are costly. We've seen it in Six Nations this year.
Yeah.
But, impressive that San Diego was able to hang in there and run it down like they did. But, we know that both of these teams, no matter who they're playing, they're no slouch. They're going to bring it. And, these guys know each other well. And, getting the points earlier is huge. And, they were able to not walk out with a draw.
Big win for Seattle indeed. We kind of already talked about this game, but big win for the SaberCats as well. Utah kind of struggling over the last 2 years. They start off with another loss here. Can they figure it out? We'll find out. Nola Gold going to DC, and Daniel, you saw most of this game, kind of gave me the prognosis ahead, so I'll let you, kind of lead this. But one thing I'll say is Nola Gold is one of those teams, man. You never really know what you're getting with them, but when they roll, they seem to be really good.
Yeah, DC loves going, when they go down to NOLA. It's kind of like sort of a rivalry. They play each other very well. They went down to the wire a little bit, and DC picked up points last year to end up nabbing that last playoff spot from the NOLA Gold. But, DC lost a couple guys, got a couple guys in. But, they were up 6-0 for the majority of the game. But it was in that back half that they just kind of couldn't keep it together, and NOLA took advantage of their opportunities, and that's we saw it last year in the playoffs. Keeping the line, leaving gaps, and teams are going to expose that if you give the option. But all in all, I'm not concerned with DC's year. I would love to get back to the playoffs again, but they're gonna have a tough battle. I think the East is gonna be pretty competitive this year, and who knows? Maybe Miami is gonna bring it this year, but we'll have to see. It's gonna be no easy road for them, unfortunately. But just have to wait and see what they bring out of it. But clearly, as we love to say, you can't win games off kicks. So they got to figure out how to get that offense going to get some tries.
I mean, the Legion Seattle game was mostly kicks. Like, this was, I think, like maybe a try apiece, honestly. Like, they were just kicking away at each other. And George actually brought up a good point last time he was on the pod, I want to say, how a lot of these Six Nations countries, you're seeing them go for a lot more kicks, too. And just overall, the percentage of tries apparently is dropping. It's just due to really good defense.
Yeah, I mean,
so having a kicker that can make these kicks is pretty big, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed a lot in the World Cup. It seemed like a lot more people were taking the
look at that. What was it? South Africa?
The penalty kicks. Yeah.
South Africa and who? Like during the season when someone beat South Africa by like 1 point or some shit. Was it Maybe they lost to it was when they lost to England, or they beat England by like a handful of points. Either way, a lot more kicking, like you mentioned. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. No, I mean, yeah, it's just interesting to see a lot more people taking those penalty kicks instead of putting it back into play and hoping that they can get the try. But points are points at the end of the day. You think you got a guy that's got the leg to be it, you might as well take it.
Yep, definitely. And you just got to trust your offense to get back in there again. Either way, that wraps up round one of MLR. Stay tuned for maybe a pick'em later this week. Exciting time. Moving on. So, Daniel, we got some NFL news to cover, and we're going to cover it in the order of importance, or at least as I see it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have agreed to terms with Michael Evans to return to Tampa Bay, his home, of course. And he's coming back on a $52-some million contract over 2 years. Daniel?
I mean, you guys couldn't afford to let him go. Like,
he didn't want to go either. He was like talking crazy. Like, he's like, well, I might want to go check out free agency. We're like, do you though? Do ya?
I mean, he would have got paid, but there's no guarantee he would have went to a good team.
No, I mean, I think the Chiefs were strongly looking at him. I think a lot of teams would have really looked at this guy. I mean, I was thinking to myself, and of course I'm biased as hell, so I'd be curious about your opinion on this. At what point does he start to get into the conversation as one of, if not one of the greatest receivers of all time? Like, the standard is Jerry Rice, some of these other guys, but dude's going to be coming up on his, if he can pull it off again, his 11th year of 1,000 yards of the season. One of the epitome of consistency. It's always a threat, always a deep threat. The type of guy you have to have your best corner on and probably give us safety help too.
No, I mean, I think he's pretty much there. The level of consistency shows. But I think he's got plenty of years in him to still kind of put things out there. But
solidify it, yeah.
Yeah, but
huge contract.
Arguably, the top of the league. He's in that top echelon. And
right now, like, I can understand saying like he's not one of the best right now, and maybe that's the argument against him, is that he's maybe never been the best. I think he's always been, people paying attention really know ball would say he's always been in the top 5 for the last probably 2 or 3 years into his career. He started hopping into that top 5 conversation if you know ball once again. So I think that's a thing, but yeah, it may be a vote against him. Maybe never always been the top dog, because there's a lot of good guys right now. So it's hard to say he's the very best right now. But
I think
what he does and his level of consistency is amazing.
Yeah. So it was a key piece to your offense you couldn't afford to leave.
Couldn't do it. Won't have to do it. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving on. Let's get Baker under contract too, and we'll be all set. An icon, a sex legend, has officially retired. I think he wants to do it under his terms. He's like, fuck you guys in your locker room. The fucking rumors and bullshit. I'm going to come do this my way. And as he should. 13-year veteran, probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular center of all time.
Yeah.
An icon, man. It's sad to see him go, but it had to happen eventually.
Yeah, I know this has been like a thing that they've talked about the last year or two, that he's been floating that idea. His position's definitely one of the more brutal ones. So, those guys typically don't have over Tom Brady length career.
Right. It's crazy how long he's played now. 13 years is a hell of an NFL career by any standard. Yeah,
13 years, especially as a lineman.
Yeah.
And then, being at the bottom of that tush push probably took a couple years, probably took a couple games off of him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, next stop, Canton. So I think they said, was it 2029 is when he'd be eligible. So
good for him, man. Hell of a career, Jason Kelce. Definitely a guy who always did it the right way.
Now we'll probably see him just partying up at Eagles games and that's it.
Was he? It's hard to tell sometimes some of the things that come across Reddit as far as what these people actually said. Was he kind of like maybe taking a shot at some of those ex-Eagles players that have been coming out recently and saying how toxic the fan base is? When he was like, hey, they're the type of fan base that's always going to let you know Whether you're playing well or not, they won't take your excuses or your bullshit type of thing.
I mean, yeah, Philly gives it to you, man, and they don't care.
They don't care. They're like, dude, be better.
I've been to plenty of games in Philly.
Oh yeah, me too. I've been to a couple, and yeah, they're not friendly.
Dude,
they don't like each other. They don't like each other.
Yeah,
they'll fight the other fans. They'll fight the other team. They'll fight their own players. They'll fight anyone.
You might fight your own kid.
Whatever it takes, dude. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Anyway, shout out to Jason Kelce. Hell of a career. And on to probably, some information we got covered because he's an NFL quarterback. But Russell Wilson, hell of a down spiral for this guy over the last couple of years. Like, holy shit, dude. Dude was like going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I don't know, man. These last 3 years have got to be putting a serious tarnish on his league, on his career. He's got to figure it out.
I mean, look, my thing's been, not trying to compare them to Belichick and Brady, but similar conversation of, was it Pete Carroll's system that made Russell so good? And
Flash that defense that he won the Super Bowl with.
And that defense, yeah. But I mean, I'm like, also he's much older now, but we started to see some good with Sean Payton towards the end of that season. So I mean, we heard it during the season that they were probably going to do it, especially when he wouldn't cut his incentives to help save the money.
Yeah, no, we've covered it,
and I'm not blaming him for that, but
agreed.
But yeah, it's kind of a little disheartening when it seemed like things were starting to click there, and now they're going to move on from him. I think they had to do it by the 17th or 16th, or else they were going to owe him money. But apparently, his dead space on the cap is like the largest in NFL history for a player.
It's like 80 something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 80. Yeah, it's like 80 some million. Because if they waited until the 17th, they owed him, I think it was like 38 million guaranteed for the 25 season. So, yeah, it was just wild. I have a
friend. It was a wild contract when it first got announced.
Yeah,
I was like, what? And shame on the Broncos, shame on the whole NFL for these crazy ass fucking quarterback contracts. Like, get out of here. You got to pay the rest of the team too. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for players getting paid. Make the salary cap bigger then if that's what we got to do. But, like, what are these teams doing? Who else are going to pay whenever you can't, when you're just paying your quarterback every year? Like, dude, this is ridiculous. How much do these quarterbacks need too? Like, all right, whatever. Once again, here to see these guys get paid. Honestly, with Russell Wilson, I think it's hard to root for him. Just kind of like, it's just a little delusional. Like, once again, a lot of my information comes from Reddit, so it's hard to say what these people actually said. But I've heard that he's saying, like, I want to win 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years or some shit. Like,
I mean,
you haven't even. But what? Like, how about you just don't get cut from a team for a little while? Win a couple games, maybe. Like, what?
So, I mean, where do you think he would go, though? Like, Minnesota needs a quarterback.
Who's going to pay? He still thinks he's worth getting paid out the ass. So someone's got to agree with him there.
Atlanta, they need a quarterback.
There's a lot of quarterback needy teams, but
I have a friend that's a Steelers
are you going to be like, yeah, let's pay this guy out the ass because he's a really good talker?
I mean, I have a buddy Steelers fan that he has no interest in him. I mean, he's also not on the Kenny Pickett train either. So he's like, they need to do something in Pittsburgh, but he doesn't think Russell Wilson's the answer.
Well, they should just sell the farm and trade up in the draft, obviously.
I mean, he said it's more of a Band-Aid. He goes, they just need to go out and draft someone else.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Is like anyone signing Russell Wilson, do you really think this is the guy to take you to the Super Bowl now?
I mean, to some degree, I hate saying it. The Vikings, in a way, makes sense because
it kind of does.
They have the most playoff-ready team, I think.
Yeah.
Where we have, as of now, we have an opening.
And I'm not gonna lie, if he signed with Atlanta, I'd be a little nervous as a Buccaneers fan. Like Atlanta was like a competent quarterback away from sweeping us last year, for sure. We're gonna be better though. They're gonna be better, but either way, he could do some damage if he goes down to the south. I could see that.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I'm more curious to see if he would get picked up before the draft. Like I'm gonna kind of lean towards probably not.
Free agency's what, like a little over a week away?
Yeah.
As of this recording.
But anyway. Yeah, so we got time, but yeah. And then I heard that Green Bay is expected to let AJ Dillon hit the market.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
I also heard that we might have to let Jones go because he's not taking a pay cut.
Who was it? Shoot. I think it was Gary restructured and someone else restructured to help open up money for Green Bay.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. It's another defender. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on who it was. But yeah,
Green Bay's in great shape. They got a lot of young players. It's kind of scary as usual in the Wisconsin area. All right, well, Daniel, I think this has been some productive information for our people at Sports by Compian. They now know what's going on with MLR, sort of.
Do you have Hounds game next week?
No, the first one is going to be during St. Patrick's Day, I want to say. No, I don't know. That's not even home one either. It's not until like the 24th, I want to say.
They play the first 3 weeks on the road?
Yeah, kind of rough for the boys, but yeah, they're on the road, I think, for the first 3 weeks.
Because DC's home opener is week 3, round 3 against Chicago. So
we got to get one of those down. That weekend we're very busy. We got a double header for the Ravens. As far as social events, we are doing Rubens all day at the Lion. And then we will be watching Six Nations there. And then we're going to go to the Hogs game and represent. Maybe bring some new Ravens in.
Maybe we figure out the DC at Chicago match.
Yes, we're definitely open to going out to the East to watch some rugby. As all of you people should be excited to go to all these MLR games. They're dirt cheap. It's a fun time. You're going to see some decent quality rugby. And get out of the house a little bit, man. What else are you going to do on a Sunday? Go to church? Just kidding. There'll be time for both. Maybe. Probably not, actually. Anyway, Daniel, any final words for these fine people?
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of stole the thunder there, but download Rugby Network, watch the games. That's the way to go.
It's not the best app in the world, but is it free and providing you fantastic rugby content? Yes, it is, Daniel. They've even taken on the Premiership League, so you can watch some really good rugby over in England taking place.
You can watch it all day.
Dude, there's a lot of leagues. Like Super Rugby just kicked off. We've been kind of following that a little bit as well. Dude, there's great rugby out there being played. People don't catch the blues out. The NFL is over. Plus, there's still stuff going on with that. See that kid just ran a 4.21 at the combine. The dude out of Texas.
Yeah.
Good for him. No idea what his name is, but shout out that kid. We're gonna end there with some more vague information at Sports by Compian.